Most of us assume something very simple. If you want to feel more alive, you have to add something. More stimulation, more achievement, more intensity. And when that runs out, you add something else. What's rarely questioned is this: what if the feeling you're chasing already shows up when you stop interfering? Think about the moments you don't remember managing yourself. No effort, no self-improvement, no inner commentary. You don't call those moments special, you call them ordinary. This video isn't here to motivate you. It won't give you a method to feel better. But if you stay with it, slowly, you may notice how much of your life has been spent trying to create something that quietly happens on its own. And once you see that, it's hard to see your daily effort the same way again. Have you noticed how reasonable your assumptions feel while you're living inside them? Take something simple, feeling worn down after a long week. The mind doesn't panic, it reaches for logic. I need a break. I need a drink. I need a vacation. I need to feel something different. Nothing about that sounds wrong. You work hard, you're responsible, you've earned relief. So you add something, and often it works, at least for a while. But notice what quietly slips in with that logic. The idea that your natural state is lacking, that aliveness is not the default, that it must be triggered. That belief doesn't arrive dramatically, it forms slowly through repetition. You feel tired, you add stimulation. You feel dull, you add intensity. You feel restless, you add noise. Life becomes a series of adjustments, always tuning, always fixing. And because it mostly works, no one questions it. Not at work, not in relationships, not even alone. The system feels sensible, efficient adult. But every now and then, something doesn't fit. You finally get the time off, the house is quiet, the phone is down. And instead of relief, there's a strange emptiness, not pain, just flatness. So the mind starts planning again. What to add next? What's missing? What should be different? And no one ever asks the softer question. What if nothing is missing? What if the effort itself is part of the tension? That question isn't comfortable. It doesn't offer a solution. It just lingers. And once it's there, the old logic still works, but not quite as cleanly as before. Why does it feel almost irresponsible to stop managing yourself? Think about a normal workday. Someone asks how you're doing. You don't pause, you answer quickly. Tired, but okay. That answer fits. It signals competence. It tells the room you're functioning. No one leans in when you say you're calm. No one rewards stillness. In meetings, motion matters, ideas, opinions, updates. Silence feels like absence. Even rest has to look productive, a workout, a retreat, a weekend that recharges you for Monday. Notice how subtle this is. No one forces it, it's just understood. If you're not adjusting, improving, reacting, you must be disengaged or falling behind. So even when nothing is wrong, there's pressure to demonstrate that you're doing something about it. The body might be fine, the moment might be quiet. But quiet doesn't translate well socially. So the mind steps in, fills the space, keeps things moving. And over time, that movement starts to feel like care, like responsibility, like maturity. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. And questioning it isn't dramatic, it's awkward. Because if you stop managing for a second, you don't just face yourself. You step slightly outside the rhythm everyone else is keeping. That's not a problem, but it is noticeable. And most of us learn, very early, how much effort it takes to stay noticeable in the right way. Have you noticed how your body sometimes fixes things without asking you first? A cut heals, muscles recover, a headache fades after rest. You didn't direct any of that. Think about waking up after a night of really deep sleep. Not the kind where you scroll before bed, not the kind where dreams feel loud. The other kind. You open your eyes and for a few seconds, there's no story yet, no to-do list, no self-check. Just a quiet sense of being fine. What's interesting is not how good that feels. It's how little you were involved. No intention, no technique, no effort to improve yourself. Breathing happened, the body adjusted, something reorganized itself. And you were nowhere in the process. Then, almost immediately, the mind returns, names things, assesses, takes credit, or assigns blame. But that brief window before it does, that's the part most people overlook. Not because it's rare, because it's simple. So simple it doesn't feel like an achievement. And because it leaves no memory of effort, it's easy to assume nothing happened at all. But something did. Enough that you start the day renewed, clearer, more available. The question isn't how to recreate that. It's why that natural reset only feels familiar when you were unconscious for it. Have you ever noticed how easily understanding becomes a substitute for noticing? Someone explains something clearly, you nod, it makes sense. You can repeat it back, you can even agree with it. And yet, nothing actually changes in how the moment feels. Think about stress. You know where it comes from, you know your patterns, you've named them. But when the pressure hits, the body still tightens, breath shortens, jaw sets. Understanding is present, experience is untouched. Or take calm. You know what it should feel like. You've pictured it. You've described it to yourself. But the picture isn't the thing. There's a subtle habit here. When something matters, the mind steps in to grasp it, labels it, holds it. That grasping feels like progress. But sometimes, it's the very movement that keeps the distance. Because there are moments when nothing needs to be clarified, nothing needs to be named. You're just sitting, breath moves, a sound passes. No insight arrives, no realization announces itself. And yet, something is different. Not because you understood more, but because, for a moment, there was no one trying to understand. That difference is easy to miss. It doesn't feel dramatic. But once it's noticed, it quietly changes how convincing explanations feel. Have you noticed what happens when you don't immediately step in? An email lands, the tone feels off. Normally, the reaction is instant. A story forms, tension rises, a response drafts itself in your head. But sometimes there's a pause, not intentional, just a moment where nothing happens yet. In that gap, the body still feels a tightening, a warmth, a quickening. But it doesn't escalate. The feeling moves, then shifts, like a wave that wasn't interrupted. Or think about being with someone you trust. No need to perform, no need to explain yourself. Conversation slows, silence doesn't need fixing. You're not less engaged, you're more here. What's different isn't the situation, it's the absence of constant correction. The urge to manage softens, not because you decided to let go, but because there was nothing to hold. Inside, the same thing happens. Thoughts still appear, emotions still pass through. But without immediate ownership, they don't harden into identity. They're events, weather, not instructions. This isn't something you do. It's something you notice when doing drops. And once that's seen, control starts to feel less like safety and more like habit. Not wrong, just unnecessary more often than you thought. What kind of attention are you using right now? Not concentration, not effort. The other kind. The one that's present when you're listening to music alone in the car, or watching the sky change color without checking the time. You're not trying to focus, you're simply there. Notice how wide that attention feels. Nothing is excluded, nothing is chased. Thoughts still pass through, so do sensations, but they don't demand response. There's no tightening around them. This attention isn't sharp, it's settled. And the strange thing is, it doesn't feel new, it feels familiar, almost forgotten. Like something you return to rather than learn. When this quality is present, experience doesn't need enhancement, ordinary moments are enough. Not exciting, not dull. complete. And yet, the mind still wants to claim it, name it, use it. The moment that happens, it narrows again. So the question remains open. Is this attention something you create? Or something you notice when you stop reaching? There's nothing here to take with you. No insight to protect, no state to recreate. Just an ordinary moment, exactly as it is. Breath moving, sounds arriving and leaving, the body sitting where it sits. If something felt different during this time, it didn't come from effort. It didn't come from adding anything. It showed up when interference softened. You don't need to hold that. You don't need to remember it. Later today, or tomorrow, there may be a brief pause between one thing and the next, before reaching for your phone, before responding, before adjusting how you feel. Nothing special. Just a small opening where nothing needs to happen. What you notice there isn't for anyone else. So the question stays, when nothing is added, what is already here?